So this meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust for September 17th is now in session pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and Governor Healy's extension of said law. All members of the for this meeting of the Great Barrington Affordable Housing Trust will be conducted via remote participation. Specific information, general guidelines for remote participation are posted on the agenda and can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so by consulting the agenda. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access proceedings in real time via technological means. All votes will be a roll call. I'm going to add, per the town of Great Barrington's policy, before any board takes a major vote, and we anticipate one tonight, we will open it up to comments for no more than 3 minutes. Please try not to repeat something somebody else said, but the chair, myself, will recognize you. So raise your hand in the hand raising thing. The members of the board that are here tonight are Garfield Reed, Peter Most, Bill Cook, and myself, Fred Clark, chair. We have 3 other members who may or may not be joining us later. Chris Rembold from the town of Great Barrington is our staff liaison as assistant planner and chief planner, assistant town council. I get those a little mixed up. And he has a few things.
So some or all of those titles apply.
We do not have a copy of the meeting minutes, so we're going to skip over that. On our agenda was an update of the project that's underway at North Plain Road, now called Prosperity Way. For those of you who are familiar, this is a 7-acre parcel on North Plain Road near the carpet warehouse that Habitat for Humanity is going to build 20 houses on. The site didn't have near sewer and water. That work is being started soon. Next week, in terms of the schedule, the contract for the sewer and water and the other infrastructure has been awarded. We were fortunate enough to get a state grant for $3.2 million. The bids were right around $2.7 million. So we have a little bit of contingency money available in this. The town is doing this work, and then when that's completed, we'll turn it over to Habitat for Humanity to build their houses. Habitat will start building foundations and houses before all of the sewer lines are in. I see Joseph Method, another member of our board, has joined us. The kickoff meeting is next week. So mostly what's going to happen is the contractor will be clearing land. You'll see the contractor on site, clearing land and grubbing and doing some basic fundamentals before winter. Try to get, depending upon how severe the winter is, they'll try to get some of the infrastructure in this fall and winter, and basically do the road openings in the spring and finish up by early summer with the infrastructure. Habitat will start building houses in the spring. In fact, they're starting to advertise now for people who are interested in their process. And if you need to hear more about that, let me know and I can put you in touch, or Chris can. And I believe Bill has posted some to our website as well, or if not, we will. I don't have any more information on the ADU pilot program. Basically, the review has been done. We're talking about rolling that out very shortly.
Should I go ahead and put that up on the website?
What's that?
All the promotional stuff for the ADUs, the program. I have a web page I can put up. I have some promotional things I could start
Don't know.
feeding to stuff.
Ananda has taken charge of that, and I really don't know.
Okay, I'll check with her.
I will talk to you about the Habitat flyer. If you don't
Okay.
have it, I'll make sure you have it.
Okay.
And we can just add that to the North Plain Road tab.
Okay.
Well, do we just want to say that in the next month, like between this meeting and next meeting, we authorize her to roll it out?
Yes, I believe we've already done that.
Okay, so then if we're like advertising on Facebook, whatever, like that's what we expect.
I would prefer Ananda, who's in charge of that program, talk about that schedule. Unfortunately, she's ill this evening.
Yeah, I'll check in with her.
Yeah.
I have a question, Fred.
Yes, of course.
Are we either past the point, or are we informing the citizens in that surrounding area of when things are going to start and when things are starting to go down, and et cetera? And would it not behoove us to do that? You tell
Yes,
me.
I assume you're talking about the North Plain Road.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
It has been noted on Facebook, Housatonic Neighbors on Facebook. Habitat has a mailing list that they assembled during the process, and it's up to them, I believe, to contact. I will check. I will follow up on
I would appreciate that.
neighbors. It's always good to be
They
transparent.
would blast us, not Habitat anyway. You know that. They're displeased.
Chris, would you care to comment?
Well, we will have a more detailed schedule based on our pre-construction meeting this coming Wednesday, the 25th, with the contractor and the engineer. So we'll meet, we'll put together a schedule, and then we'll be able to get details out there. A contractor will be starting X day. Here's the scope of work they hope to accomplish, that kind of stuff.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, Garfield, we're talking in generalities. Next Wednesday, we'll have a specific milestones and start date kind of thing. So I think your question is timely. But up until this point, there really hasn't been anything that we could say with any definitive, other than like it'll happen in the fall kind of thing. So we're going to skip over any more discussion of the ADU pilot program unless anybody has any further comments. Financial reporting, we have not spent any money since the last time, and I do not have an update on that.
Can I back up for a second?
Yeah, of course.
I'm a little slow on the update. Okay, you said we weren't going to speak of the ADUs. Does that mean that we don't have anyone who's looking to do this? Are we at that point, or Bill?
No.
Would you know? I mean,
We spent
folks willing to
a
give up their
year
home
working on a
and-
program to roll out a pilot program to assist people to add a accessory dwelling unit, otherwise known as an ADU, to their house or land. The background is the planning board passed zoning regulations, and they were approved by town meeting, but nobody seems to be taking advantage of them. So they asked us to develop a program to provide an incentive. We felt like we wanted to do that as a pilot program for the first year, and that has been developed. It is sitting and ready to go. It is funded. We have a vendor for it, who's Construct.
We just haven't announced it.
We just haven't launched it yet. We were waiting for a couple of final sign-offs to launch it, but that may happen in the next month or so.
Okay, thank you. This
board has authorized it. Any other comments on ADUs? No. Financial reporting, I do not have an update. Ananda typically has that in her computer, so she did not share it with me. Similarly with the budget discussion, I'm not prepared to talk about anything more about that, nor the seat. We should probably come back and visit. I know that we have a number of people here. I think that they're here for the item that's under new business. So I would like to, with the board's indulgence, move on to discuss purchasing the land in Housatonic at 255 Park Street. This is otherwise known as the Risingdale Ball Field. If you're not familiar with it, it's on 183 near Risingdale Paper. There's a backstop there and some overgrown pine trees. As I'm, for the benefit of the general public, we have been talking to the seller of the property, which is Berkshire Natural Resources Council, for some time, asking them what they were interested. Others have been interested as well. The Berkshire Natural Resources Council said that the property was acquired as part of, they were the holder of some of the land that was the solar field that's down along the river. This was the first large site developed in Great Barrington for solar. And Berkshire Natural Resources has declared this parcel, which is a separate 3 acres, surplus to their mission. In other words, it doesn't support their environmental or natural or recreation mission, but their board policy is that they can only sell it for A, the appraised value, and B, for community benefit. So we asked them if they would sell it to us. We had, or they had, an appraisal completed by a professional appraiser. We have agreed on a price. The price is $86,850. That is the appraised price. We tried to get them to budge on that. They wouldn't. For whatever it's worth, I will tell you that they have so many projects in Great Barrington that while they won't specifically use this money to fund projects in Great Barrington, they will be spending a considerable amount of money of their own in Great Barrington for other beneficial projects, such as an addition to the Carson Palmer, is that what it's called? Yeah, Carson Palmer.
Thomas and Palmer. Thomas and Palmer.
Yep. And they're working on a trailhead program for Tomball Mountain, which is off of Division Street, I believe, or Alfred Road. And they may have a connection in that area over near American Economic Institute, somewhere around there. So
a may I ask a question? Have they shared the appraisal with us?
yes.
Have you shared that with the other members of the trust?
No.
Would you share that with the other members of the trust?
If you like.
Yes.
It was a professional appraisal. I wasn't. I'd be happy to share it.
That term is oxymoron, but that's fine.
You think?
Possibly.
I don't see it that way.
Okay.
Suffice it to say, we have been talking about this. We came to some agreements in executive session, which was appropriate under open meeting law to discuss real estate acquisitions and purchases. I felt strongly that we needed to talk to the neighbors, make this a public issue before we have voted to acquire this land. We have budgeted the money. We budgeted 80,000, which was at the low end of the range that we had been given previously. The actual cost is 86,860. And I propose taking $6,850 from our reserves money, of which we have $20,000 in our budget. Under the, just let me talk a little bit and then I can open it up to everybody. This parcel of land has been noted by the planning board for some time as desirable for housing, largely because it's considered an infill parcel with good utilities, good access, and it's on the bus route. It's in an established neighborhood, and the planning board prerogative is to prefer projects that are in an established neighborhood rather than taking something that's way off the beaten path. I believe that this is a very good use for this site, and I firmly recommend that we do it. Under the law, housing trusts are able to buy land. We are using Community Preservation Act funds. That means that once we buy this land, this parcel and anything that we create on it will have to be deed restricted as affordable based on 100% AMI guidelines. AMI is area median income, a number that the HUD sets for all of the county except for Pittsfield. And so that will be in perpetuity there. What I propose is that we vote on this and purchase the land tonight. I would like to, the town requires a contingency for an environmental survey. Chris has a proposal from an engineer to do that. They will get going next week. So you may see some people walking around the site. That money is set aside in Chris's funds. It's not coming from the Housing Trust. I think it's coming from Berkshire Regional Planning Authority. It's funding that money. So the environmental study will get done. What I'd like to do is have a listening session or a design session with the community, probably in the winter, maybe in the spring. I'd like to go and talk to the planning board and talk to them and get their, since they're so knowledgeable about these issues, and we've talked to them before about our previous project on North Plain Road, I'd like to get their input as to what they would suggest or what they might provide. And that might be in the spring as well, or in the winter. I've already talked to the chair of the planning board and she's amenable. At that point, we would do a feasibility study. A feasibility study would look at utilities, zoning, access, soil, environmental issues, and any other kinds of prerogatives there. We had a feasibility study done on North Plain Road. It was about $15,000, and I anticipate that it'll be about the same for that. We could put that in our CPA application or or funded through other sources. There's a possibility of a grant from Mass Housing Partnership. I've already talked to their rep about it, and she said once we own the property, we can put in an application. And that will all lead to an eventual RFP where we will spend some time writing a proposal for what we would like to see there based upon all the inputs that we get. And we will put that out to bid, and it can be bid on either by a private nonprofit such as Habitat or Construct or CDC, or it could go to a private developer at that point. And that I anticipate in not less than a year from now, maybe a little even longer than a year. I see Bill has his hand up, so go ahead, you're muted.
I just wanted to ask, that extra $6,000 or $7,000, that comes from a fund that's CPA money?
Correct.
Okay, so I just want to make sure.
On our budget, we had budgeted $80,000 for the purchase of land. We had $19,000 in unreserved money, unspecified money, our contingency, if you will.
From CPA.
From CPA.
Okay.
Peter first and then Garfield.
Is the process after this vote, we conduct the due diligence, the purchase is conditional upon all of the due diligence, and what is the timeline on that?
Well, I don't think that there's a lot of contingencies on the purchase and sale. The town requires a contingency for an environmental phase 1. And I don't think there's anything else really that's been added to it. Our lawyers obviously will do a deed search and, you know, all of that kind of legal stuff.
And as we're chatting, would you mind circulating the appraisal that you described?
Yeah, sure. I don't have it in electronic form. I can scan it, but I can do it after the meeting. I can hold it up to the camera.
I have it as well, Fred. I could send it to you. And the timeline for completing the purchase and sale process is relatively fluid, but both sides have represented we'd like to undertake all of these environmental studies by the end of the calendar year.
Does that answer your question, Peter?
No. When is when does the agreement become final that the town is therefore obligated to transfer was my question.
I'm going to defer to Chris.
If all parties are satisfied, then the purchase and closing of the property and the town Affordable Housing Trust Fund taking ownership would be done by the end of the calendar year.
Okay, thank you.
Garfield?
Okay. I think if I got this correct, I think you said we were maybe going to wait to speak to the people before we purchase this property. And then you said tonight you'd like to have a vote to purchase it. And I wanted to know, I guess, if we were waiting to speak to the folks, one, are we going to lose out by waiting? And two, we are not, I hope, going to have them govern whether or not we're going to be at that site or not.
Okay. One of the reasons for meeting tonight in open session instead of an executive session was to allow input from the near neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, in talking to Chris about the progress of the purchase and sale, we decided that we would contact the near neighbors before this meeting and give them an opportunity. As you may know, there's 11 people who signed up, which is unusual for us to have that many guests here. I'm guessing that many of them are here for this very issue. Mm-hmm. So I wrote a letter last Thursday, I wrote a letter that basically described what we were doing, how to log into Zoom, and I tried to answer as many questions as possible in that letter. I could put it up on the screen if you want, but basically it was an informational letter and telling people how to access it and what we were all about, that we were going to be voting to purchase the land. Then on Saturday, Chris had given me a list of all of the near neighbors. Normally we would go 300 feet in each direction from a parcel for notification. We actually went about a quarter of a mile because it's a lot less. I went all the way up to Maple and all the way down to Division, hand delivering letters to people. Now, some of them weren't home. They got put in their door. Some of them I had conversations with, but I basically tried to make it as the effort to notify people and let them know that this meeting was happening so that they could comment before the vote.
Okay. Now just to finish that part of the question, I have one more. So let's say the people surrounding aren't really excited. Will that stop us from purchasing that land?
We will certainly listen to them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
And they can convince us.
Yeah.
I also want to tell you that Eileen Mooney posted this on her newsletter, and Michelle Lobert posted it to Housatonic Neighbors on Facebook.
It's definitely the right thing to do, especially from learning experience from before. I don't disagree. I'm just concerned of whether or not it's a nice piece of property. It's on the bus line, all those good things. It makes it nice for some families. And I was just concerned whether or not we would lose that opportunity if the surrounding good folks were not in agreement with us, I guess.
The one thing I want to make clear is that we have no preconceived notion of what kind of housing would be built there. Mm-hmm. Because we are the Affordable Housing Trust, we are purchasing this for housing. Mm-hmm. That's pretty clear. It's not going to be an industrial plant.
Right.
It's not going to be a solar farm. Yep. It's not going to be a pot farm.
Yep.
Anything like that. We are purchasing it as an agent of the town of Great Barrington so that it becomes town of Great Barrington property. So we have a responsibility to do our due diligence, as Peter has pointed out. You know, as I said, the owner is Berkshire Natural Resources Council, and they have some very narrow restrictions about what they can do with a piece of property when they declare it surplus.
I just have one other thing, and I know you were saying how the planning board, in all due respect, Chris, they like us to be on the bus signs, etc. Again, seeing how that our first parcel of property really wasn't on the bus line, I would like to think that wouldn't stop us from future endeavors, seeing how we probably don't have a lot of space that's not left anymore.
I missed a word though. We don't have a lot of what?
We don't have a lot of space, it seems like, left in Great Barrington to erect new places.
Well, later in this evening, we're going to be talking about an update to the master plan that was done in 2013, specifically about housing. And I think that is one of the issues that can be discussed as part of the update to the master plan. In the 2013 master plan, it talks about a balance between, you know, housing in established areas, but agriculture and downtown in both Housatonic and downtown Great Barrington. And I think that there's that balance that is tricky to achieve sometimes between, you know, basically the master plan says Great Barrington's always going to be rural and it's always going to be urban. And it's that sort of melding of the two that make it a unique and interesting place. We're getting a little off topic. Maybe I am.
Motion to open up discussion.
Yeah, so thank you, Joseph. I don't think we need a vote on that.
Open it?
Basically, anyone here can talk. I'm going to recognize you, Brenda. I see you. I've clicked. You can talk at any time. Welcome.
Yes, hello. So I'm Brenda Bonson, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my husband, Kenneth Gonzalez. We are at 248 Park Street, which is immediately across from the property that's being discussed. We have lived in our home for 26 years. We are year-round, full-time residents. I am an employee at Berkshire Medical Center, where I've worked for 32 years. I would express my concerns in the following ways. As an almost lifelong resident of the Berkshires, the disappearing green spaces are alarming, frightening, and heartbreaking. To hear about, and I'm a social worker, by the way, so I'm not a corporate whatever. I help people who are struggling, homeless, etc. I'm well aware of the difficulties in the area and across the country. I am concerned to hear about things like as unimaginative as, it's flat, it's on a bus line. I would point out that there are 3 properties currently for sale on Division Street. I would wonder why not use existing lots and if it was a matter of negotiating with the BRTA to reroute down Division Street, let's figure that out. I'd be happy to help. Why not use those existing lots that have already been cleared instead of destroying the greenery and meadowland and wildlife that is currently relying on 255 Park Street? We regularly see bears go through our yard, deer, a mountain lion. They go over there. That's part of their habitat, which is shrinking, as we all know. And I would propose, before clearing another piece of property that happens to be flat, just to establish housing, why not optimize existing lots such as those on Division Street? Always wondered about what's going on at Searles, where I went to middle school. I would also, knowing that I have limited time, challenge the idea of a neighborhood. While we are adjacent to each other, and I think we sort of watch out for each other's homes, Route 183 is a high-speed highway. There's not a sidewalk. There's not a safe place to walk with children. Cars regularly go by at 50, 55 miles an hour. It's not a neighborhood such as you would find adjacent to the downtown or on other side streets.
Thank you. There's a person that says an iPhone. Go ahead, you have your hand up.
Hi, this is Jane. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Jane Ralph from Construct. I speak very much in favor of this opportunity to provide housing on that plot. I think the partnership with Berkshire Natural Resources would help address some of the concerns that the previous speaker had. Similarly, when you're developing affordable housing, having conservation space is something that it strengthens an application. So I think taking all of those things into account, in addition to the fact that it's a flat piece of land, which is not to be minimized, it's very difficult to build on anything else, and on a bus line, all of those things make it a really great place to provide some affordable housing, which I don't think anyone questions is needed in this area, and especially needed in Housatonic. I think Housatonic has been somewhat ignored. I think there's challenges to building in Housatonic, but I would strongly support this for all the reasons that have been mentioned by Fred and by Garfield. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to comment? And Tully, let me make you allowed to talk. Okay, you should be able to speak now.
Hi, excuse me. My name is Ann Tully. I own the home directly south of the Rising baseball field at 243 Park Street. I live here most of the year, all of the year, with my partner, Larry Kuchar. I purchased my home 3 years ago and have put in a significant investment to bring it up to date because it hadn't been touched since 1963. I would say that I have many concerns, not the least of which is I look directly at the property. There's a beautiful stand of trees. I support everything Brenda said about the nature. I purchased my home because it is in a low density neighborhood. It's not a neighborhood as Brenda described, but it's in a low density rural setting. There is not cluster housing here. And I have nature views from all the windows of my home. I will say that personally, I am a big supporter of low-income housing. I just don't think this is the right lot for your project as someone.
Not in my neighborhood.
And can I finish, please?
Garfield, please mute yourself. Yes, Ann, please go ahead.
I have been an active volunteer for Habitat of Humanity. I have worked on the build crews. I fully support the work that they do. I know that it was not in this state, it was in another state. I know that they very thoughtfully procure their projects, but they also are very spare, low budget projects. That type of project on a lot next to my home would immediately devalue my home. And
Bullshit.
Who said that? I'm sorry. Please don't.
that was the person on the iPhone from Construct.
Well, I'm sorry, Jane, I'm gonna mute you.
What did she say?
And I apologize. Please go ahead. We want to hear from you.
I'm sorry. I feel blindsided by all of this. My understanding is this neighborhood, the community of homes around here went through a similar scenario. I didn't live here, but they all came together. We have bears, we have lions. I have a grandchild who runs around in the neighborhood. We have cars that speed 50 miles an hour down this road and it's dangerous. Adding more housing, I think, is of particular concern that we have no knowledge of the type of project that's going to be built. It would be much easier to give input if we had a little more clarity about what it is, that is going to be proposed. I look at a beautiful stand of trees that is along the private road here on the south side of the lot. Is that going to go away? That would be one of the major reasons why I bought my home, because I look at nature.
Thank you. This is Fred. I'm the chair. I just want to clarify one thing. You use the term low income housing. We are not the Great Barrington Housing Authority. We're the Affordable Housing Trust. We are concerned with affordable housing, which may sound like we're in the weeds and we're making a big deal about the semantics of it, but it really does make a difference. We are not talking about low income housing. We're talking about affordable housing that is income qualified up to 100% AMI, which is presently about 82,000 for a family of 2 and about 91,000 for a family of 4. So,
Fred, before you speak to the next individual, may I ask you a quick question? Would you just remind me what the size of this lot is? How many acres?
So this is just under 3 acres, 2.9 acres.
And the project on North Plain Road, would you remind me how many acres that is?
That was about 7.25.
Thank you. I apologize for the interruption.
That project was very different from this project. I
don't
see
know.
one more hand from James. I'm going to allow you to talk. Please go ahead.
Thank you. This is James Garzone, 84 North Plain Road. Thank you, Fred, for stepping in. I just want to say, please, can we all remain respectful? This is a community that we all live in. Let's not make the same mistake we did with the North Plain project, where we could have built more, but people were blindsided, and we had to go back down to 20 instead of the 30 that was proposed by the planning board. Let's listen to everybody's concerns. Let's address them, and hopefully we can find a solution. Let's not be disrespectful. Let's not start saying these words to become divisive. Let's please come together. This is an issue that we all are living together. I mean, this is just one issue of many that we have in town. We have higher taxes, we have brown water, we have so many things. Let's please just stay respectful and united and come to an agreement that we all can live with. We're one community. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Fred again. I do want to say that I did walk up and down. There were many people who weren't home, but I'm glad to see that they got the note. I wanted to add to Anne and to Brenda that I did talk to a man named Dallas. I don't remember his last name, who's in the Stone House directly across the street. And he too also mentioned that it was a wildlife corridor and that animals transit through there going up to Flag Rock.
Yes.
So I just want to add that. I see a phone, Samsung guest. Please state your name. I've allowed you to talk. I clicked on allow you to talk, so. Go ahead. We can't hear you. Are you muted?
Someone who's not used to.
It says on my screen, Samsung phone guest. It looks like you're muted.
They're muted.
Okay.
Disrespectful.
It looks like you're unmuted now. Or can you? I can't hear you. I don't know who you are, and I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. This is Dallas.
Oh,
I
hello.
talked to you. Hello, how are you? And my wife, Janet. We've lived here for.
I did listen to what you said to me.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that. I would reiterate that it is valuable. Also, there are the monarch butterflies nest over there too, which is a nice thing. So basically, I don't understand why you're purchasing the property before you have the environmental report.
Okay. We're having this meeting to allow the signatures of the purchase and sale. We won't complete the purchase until the environmental phase 1 is completed. However, in order for the environmental study to happen, you are going to see engineers walking on the site. I didn't want to have a situation where you, the neighbors, saw people walking on the site and didn't know why they were there. I didn't want rumors to start about something. So we're having this meeting ahead of that, people coming on the site.
Okay. I would like to say that the road is dangerous. You can't really walk your dog along the road and feel comfortable. And if they do put this in, I think they should also put in a bike lane and a place to walk along the road. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your contribution.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this issue? It looks like Eileen has her hand up. Eileen, do you have a question?
Yes, question, Eileen Mooney. The newsletter. If you agree to buy the property and the environmental study shows that there are problems, can you then stop the sale with no penalty? I don't know how that works.
The short answer is yes. In this case, the purchase and sale is contingent upon a satisfactory environmental report. And the satisfactory is a subjective term that is up to us, the purchaser.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chris, do you need to talk, or does Joseph? Joseph, why don't you go first since you're on the...
Yeah, I just wanted to just amplify what the gentleman said before, that when you do one of these developments, it's a great opportunity to do other infrastructure improvements because you're running lines and whatever. And I've heard two concerns. Oh, by the way, I'm Joseph Method. I'm one of the trustees. I also live on 9 Mountain View Avenue, which is down the street, off the park. But I heard two concerns. One is really valid about speed and about sidewalks. So you have an opportunity possibly to get, sidewalks going down towards Taft Farm. That's something that we could talk about. You have an opportunity to talk about speed bumps. That's something that we could talk about. Those are sort of the non-zero sum ways of looking at this. And I heard this other concern about an animal corridor, and we could talk about those because there are right now animals cross on this road that we're talking about as being high speed. And, we know that one of the things you do is try to create like bridges under and over roads to help the animals cross. So I would just encourage people to look at it in those non-zero sum terms.
This is Fred. I just want to put my chair hat on and say speed bumps and bike lanes and sidewalks are not within the purview of this committee. They could happen. They could happen for other reasons.
That's fine. But no. But
they're not part of our committee. So
that's fine. But when we go into it, it's a cohesive thing. We have representatives from the town. So we shouldn't go into it as those things are off the table. We can talk to people about them. So I wouldn't leave them out of the conversation either. It's like we're not the planning board.
Just don't want anybody to get the idea that we can make that part of the process. I'm sorry, who's speaking? Chris, did you want to speak? I know Peter has his hand up as well.
Thanks, Fred. Folks who don't know me, I'm Chris Rembold. I'm the Assistant Town Manager and Director of Planning, and I'm staff support to this Board of Trustees.
Yeah, I know.
In general, sites where development can occur are few and far between in Great Barrington and getting fewer. But I do respect all the comments that we've heard and reiterate that the trust process, if it completes the purchase and does end up owning the site after a satisfactory due diligence period, the trust process doesn't have a deadline. It doesn't have a dedicated outcome, except that eventually there be affordable housing of some number and type on the site. Could be one unit, it could be as determined by the trust and by the community there and at large. So this is a completely open process, and I thank the trust for starting the discussion. And I think I'll leave it at that. Thanks, Fred.
Peter, do you have a comment?
It's a process question, Fred. Is it possible tonight, if we're considering this, that we, as you know, there's some information that hasn't been shared and we don't have yet, so that a vote tonight might be in the consideration of the purchase, and the appraisal and due diligence information would be then provided in the future to the trust for a future vote with respect to finalizing the purchase.
What information are you referring
Uh, One is the appraisal, which I have difficulty approving a purchase without having seen the appraisal. And the other would be, of course, the results of the due diligence information in the future. You say it's to the satisfaction of the town. I'm wondering if that's to the satisfaction of the trust members as well. It's a process question.
I'll go ahead and jump in, Fred, if you don't mind.
Please.
Certainly we can send the appraisal around. The appraisal is the appraisal, and that's the price that the seller is offering. That won't change, though I understand your desire and wish to see that. Before anything was ultimately closed, the trust would have to vote to do so. So,
Okay.
At this point, if the trustees want to move forward, I would recommend they vote to authorize the co-chairs to sign the purchase and sale agreement with the environmental contingency, and the contingency that the entire trust, that the trust then vote at a future meeting to complete the sale if all the contingencies are satisfactory.
I like that.
That makes sense to me.
Yep.
Is there anyone else who would like to be recognized?
Yeah, I have something for as soon as it comes pops back into my head, I'd like to ask. So give me a moment. May I possibly address Miss is it Bonson and her thought of purchasing the 3 houses that are already up? I don't know if it's for a fact, but I have a funny feeling that we would not be able to afford them to put houses there or to work with them. I don't think you're going to get someone to sell their property and home for $86,000, which makes it probably unreachable. We only have so many funds. I don't think we could probably afford to purchase said houses, those 3 houses, or any one of them, especially for a price of $86,000. I think that maybe might be, I don't know for sure, and Fred or Chris can tell me, but that might be prohibitive as far as the trust fund goes, as far as being able to buy those places.
I don't know what the properties are that are
I
being
don't know
referred to, but the trust.
Can't imagine it's
dealing-
getting $86,000. So
the trust has this particular site, is what you're discussing now, and you
Right.
have an owner, a current owner and seller who is willing to work cooperatively with the town and the trust. That may exist in other places as well, and the trust can consider opportunities as they come up.
Since
I'd love
you
to hear more
addressed,
if there's more available.
I'm sorry, it's Fred again. Since you addressed Ms. Basson directly, I think it's only fair that she have an opportunity to respond. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. Mr. Reed, my thought, I'm not at all a developer expert or real estate expert whatsoever, but there's a cost of this property at $86,000, but then there's the cost of, all these studies, clearing the property, erecting the structures, et cetera, et cetera. So somewhere along the way, it's certainly going to cost a lot more than $86,000. And, again, qualifying that I am not an expert in this realm. That's kind of the ecology and economy of how I was thinking about it. So that's it. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. I understand that, but what the houses in Great Barrington now, I guess the cheapest you can find is going to be about $300,000. And I have a funny feeling it won't cost. And I'll stop because this isn't a session to discuss this back and forth like it was an argument, if you will. That's my feeling, and I appreciate your feeling and you're saying so. I have a funny feeling though our total project isn't going to run over the cost of someone's home, but I don't know that.
That's wonderful.
for the benefit of those who are tuned in, I just want to say, to make this clear, the Affordable Housing Trust works as a grant program. We generally try to leverage money as much as we can. Our mission and our charge is to create and to support both sides of the affordable housing issue, to support people who are already in housing and to look out for opportunities to create affordable housing. We, to give you an idea of what happened on our previous project on North Plain Road, we keep referencing that because that's one of the projects we've done. We've also done another house down near the co-op on Grove Street with the Habitat for Humanity. There were no town dollars that were used for that project. That project was a tax title project. It was a rec. We put out an RFP, Habitat for Humanity bid on the RFP, and they were successful. They came in and they used their own dollars, their own personnel. No town dollars were used. Similarly, on North Plain Road, the trust purchased the land for $175,000, but there were no other town dollars other than I think we did a feasibility study out of the, so, but Habitat is spending about $10 million to build houses there. All told, we did get a grant from the state for $3.3 million for that site. Excuse me. So our plan is not for town dollars to build houses. Our plan is to put this out for an RFP. We may end up selling this property and recouping the money for the town coffers. I'm losing my voice, excuse me. Answer your question? Joseph, please go ahead.
Oh, it's just like, yeah, that last, you were saying that we might sell it. So the agreement with National Resource Council, yeah, I guess like would it's going to an entity that's a benefit entity, us, but like would they allow, like let's say that we found that there was an environmental review said it wasn't acceptable or something happened, would it be possible to like trade it to a developer for later on or something like that?
The town would not purchase the land without a satisfactory environmental study, period. We're not going to get on a log home site issue. The sale would be null.
I'm just talking about, is there some scenario where we're left holding the bag on the property?
No.
Okay, yeah.
None that I can anticipate.
Yeah.
What I was saying is that normally we would work with Habitat or Construct or another developer, but that's not necessarily the case. in Lenox, the Affordable Housing Trust is working with a giant national housing corporation called Penrose to build affordable housing. We could anticipate a private developer coming in and building affordable housing, which would be deed restricted to 100% AMI. It doesn't matter who would build it. We would have to be satisfied that they met all of the requirements and conditions.
For sure.
I'd also like to mention that when we did the North Plain Road development, we could have put 60 units in there by right. We listened to the neighbors. We ended up putting 20 units on 7 acres. So after we buy the property, there's still a long discussion with the neighborhood. There's a lot more input we're going to take. And we listen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's all. Should we vote?
Unless there's any other people who want to raise their hand or haven't spoken already. So the Peter.
Just, I would like to be clear, in line with what Chris said, this vote is to authorize the co-chairs to sign the purchase agreement. We'll have a future meeting in which the trust is provided the information related to the due diligence investigation and the appraisal report, so we can vote on the final purchase. Do I have that right?
Yes, but we are not the legal representatives. We are not going to take that job on. We have a lawyer to do that.
Well, interesting you should say that. And I appreciate that. But that's my question. Will the trust in the end be able to look at these documents before it takes the second vote?
Would think so.
Yes, you will.
Well, so I'd like to make a motion then, just to make sure we're all clear, that the vote we're about to take is one, to approve the co-chairs of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to execute the purchase agreement, and that the Affordable Housing Trust Fund will have an opportunity, subject to the receipt of additional materials in the future, to approve the final purchase of this property.
I second.
Miss Tully, I see your hand is up. You've already spoken on this issue. If you have something new to say, I will recognize you.
I have something new to say.
Please be brief. We're in the middle of a process.
Yeah, sure. This is Ann's partner, Larry Kuchar. Just want to say, first of all, thank you for listening to our concerns. We only found out about this yesterday, so, there is some surprise to the element we found out yesterday, and we're saying to ourselves, well, gee, what happened? How did this just go by without anybody knowing about it? But in any case, listening to the meeting, I hope you'll take the concerns of the homeowners into play for what, if the site gets purchased, if the site gets developed, what actually gets built, what kind of density goes on to 3 acres, et cetera. And the last thing I would say is the current buffer along the south side is very important to us. It was mentioned at the beginning of the meeting that the land had a backstop and some overgrown pine trees, and we're actually rather fond of those pine trees. That's what separates us from the rest of that site. And then one other quick thing is, there were some rather distasteful comments. Property values are a concern. There's nothing wrong with us being concerned with our property values. And that's all I have to say. Thanks a lot.
Fred, I had a motion that was seconded by Bill.
Joseph.
Yeah, by Joe.
Or Joseph, but somebody seconded. I apologize, Bill, if you didn't.
I would have.
Okay. Fred, we honestly can't hear you because you're muted.
Thank you. There's a motion on the table. The motion is to allow the co-chairs to sign the purchase and sale contingent on coming back on the successful environmental study and coming back before the Affordable Housing Trust for a second vote when the due diligence has been completed. So this is a roll call vote. So I'm going to go on my screen. So Peter Most, how do you vote? Yes or no?
Yes.
Bill Cook,
Yes.
Joseph Method,
Yes.
Garfield Reed,
Yes.
and chair votes yes. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
Well, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I know. My dog. So we will keep in touch. The environmental study will be conducted shortly with people on site, likely this week, next week. And we will go forward. I appreciate all of the comments that we've heard tonight. And we look forward to working with the community. On the next item of business, the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission application to the United States Department of HUD for housing for a regional housing grant under the fiscal year Pathways to Remove Obstacles to Housing, otherwise known as PRO grant program. And I'm going to give the floor to Chris. I'm sorry, Bill, do you have an issue?
No, I just wanted to add one thing to the previous discussion, which was if we could get email addresses from anybody that would like to know more about this project, we could probably keep them up to date, either through a link to our website or.
And where would you like the email addresses to come to? Will you want to put them in the chat, or do you want to have them sent to your website? Or both?
They could send it to the website, I think, and you could just pass them on to me. I don't think my name is up there. If they send them to you, you can just forward them to me and I'll collect them into an email or post them on the website.
Or send them to Chris, I don't know.
I just think it'd be good to keep people appraised of how the progress is, how things are progressing.
I'd be happy to start that.
Folks can email me or call me. My email is on the website on the planning department page, CREMBOLD. That's my first name, first initial plus last name, crembold@townofgb.org. So feel free to drop me a line and I'll make sure the trustees also hear from you and we communicate with you.
Also, as mentioned by Bill, I'm sorry, I'm muted. As mentioned by Bill, we have a very wonderful website called gbhousing.org that Bill put together and manages. I think it's an award-winning quality website. It has a lot of good information on it. It's generally up to date. We will try to keep things posted there as we go forward. Anything else from anybody? Anybody at all? Chris, I'm going to give you the floor regarding the HUD housing grant.
Thanks, Fred. So I have been exploring a grant opportunity with staff at the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission and with other towns in Berkshire County. Looking at a recent HUD grant that was released, and we believe we might be well placed to do it. The grant is the fiscal year 24 Pathways to Removing Obstacles, PRO, Removing Obstacles to Housing, the PRO housing grant. It wouldn't be a federal grant unless there was an acronym. So here we go. It's anywhere from $1 million to $7 million over 6 years. And it gives preference to municipalities or regions applicants who have taken significant strides to reduce obstacles to housing development. That might be zoning obstacles or regulatory obstacles or infrastructure or other things. Creation of capacity like the Affordable Housing Trust, who have undertaken and overcome certain obstacles to creating housing, and yet still see obstacles remaining to additional, to continuing to meet affordable housing needs. So we think that that is essentially what we're facing here in Great Barrington and the rest of the county. It's a lot of paperwork to go through, and way more than we can do in town hall on our own. And we think together we can, with a regional approach, we have a pretty good shot at this. Some of the things we're thinking about that we've heard from other towns and that we experience here is certainly the high cost of constructing new affordable homes. We see that with all of our nonprofit community development partners, the CDC and Berkshire Housing and Construct and Habitat. It's tough to build any homes, let alone an affordable home. Also tough to build accessory dwelling units, particularly ones that are affordable. So that's another obstacle. Another obstacle is keeping people in their homes if those homes are actually lower cost now. A lot of old homes need significant renovations, new roofs, new boilers, insulation, windows, whatever. Significantly, a lot of the homes need lead paint abatement, which is really a critical improvement to a lot of these old homes. So there are innumerable obstacles still in our path, and we would like to write a grant that hopefully receives funds to go after those cost obstacles and renovation obstacles. So we don't yet have the specifics nailed down, specifics of our application nailed down. It's due in mid-October, I think, before the trust would meet again, which is why I'm coming to you maybe a little bit early to seek your formal support of the application and some sort of letter of support and commitment. Again, we're hoping that, if we're successful, then we can work with Berkshire Regional Planning Commission and either receive funds through them or directly from the grant to support the projects that the trust has been doing, including building new homes, the affordable ADU program, and other projects. So I just wanted to brief you about that and seek your support for a regional application to the Pro Housing Grant Round.
Are there any questions?
Would that pro housing grant include things like extending sewer and water lines to potential housing developments?
It could, yeah. HUD takes a pretty broad view of obstacles to developing housing. The obstacles could be regulatory or zoning, could be infrastructure, water, sewer.
Yeah.
Or it could be the actual cost of renovating or building the homes. Those are some examples, good examples, Bill, thanks.
I have a question. I remember, and I don't know if this is even the right form, I know it has to do with homes, but I remember reading a while back that in Provincetown, they were actually offering a tax break to people that are second homeowners, I believe it was, or were landlords and were willing to do affordable homes with their places. Is that something we could do? And I'm sorry, I don't remember all the details. I do remember seeing that and thought that was kind of a neat idea. I don't know if that's something we can do. Or...
It wouldn't be something under this grant, but your recall is pretty much on. It's a program in Provincetown where property owners who are willing to rent their home or their unit
Right.
at an affordable rate, they can have a small property tax reduction. That takes a special act of state legislature and a number of other things. Not part of this particular item, but
Okay,
something we could talk about another time.
good. I'd like to.
Chris, may I ask a question? Is this a block grant that would then go to the town for a determination as how the funds are used? Or is it a grant in which you've identified potential projects?
We're trying to do a little of both, actually, because the turnaround for the application is so quick. And we may not have potential projects. We have some ideas of what obstacles to housing are. Been a lot of work put into this on the local level, and a regional housing report also issued 2 years ago. So we have a good idea of what the obstacles are. We might not have specific projects, however. So what we're hoping is that our application is funded, and Berkshire Regional Planning Commission then has a lump of funds that it can then maybe sub-grant out to entities like the town, the Affordable Housing Trust here in Great Barrington and other towns. So does that answer your question? Not a block grant specifically to us.
It does. I have a follow-up then. I'm aware of a private developer who is looking to, on State Road, to look to do a project for affordable housing and need assistance. Should I ask that developer to contact you, as that project might be one that might be enabled by a grant?
Well, I'd be happy to talk to anybody who's considering doing affordable housing, whether or not the town can help. I'd love to hear what you're thinking.
Okay.
It's possible that
by the way, I said State Road. I apologize. I meant well, on 23, but okay, got it. I'll have them contact you.
Possible is the objectives of the grant generally are to benefit low and moderate income people, and meet an area's community development and housing needs. So it's pretty wide objectives, and I suppose that could fit into that.
Thank you.
So if there's no other questions, I'd like to entertain a motion, or I'd like to make a motion that the Affordable Housing Trust support the grant application as part of regional, done by the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission, as we've heard. And I believe that we would draft a letter or sign on to a letter that the town is drafting.
I'll draft you a letter if you're willing to give me a little bit of leeway, and
or I can try too if you want.
Draft it if the trust.
I guess the
favor.
motion right now is
Chris,
that
tomorrow's fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
the motion
Yeah.
is to have the Affordable Housing Trust approve and unanimously, I hope, support the regional housing grant, because I think it sounds like a terrific program.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Peter Most, vote please.
Yes.
Joseph Method.
Yes.
Bill Cook.
Yes.
Garfield.
Yes.
And chair votes yes, unanimous. Thank you, Chris, very much. Thank you for coming to our meeting and helping out tonight.
Thank you.
Before you leave, Chris, the last item on our agenda tonight is the master plan update. And I circulated, so the master plan was done in 2013. I think some of us might have been involved when that was created. It's very interesting reading it now. It was a fabulous document. It won awards. It was a great process. I remember participating in focus groups. So it had a very wide reach for people. but it is 11 years old. A lot of things have happened since then, and including creating the housing trust. One of the items that was on the master plan as an action item was to create a housing trust, and Bill, when he was a select board member, took that and ran with it. And we were passed by town meeting in 2017. The master plan was 2013. The planning board is going through a year-long process of updating the master plan, and they've asked for our input.
May I ask a request, please?
Yeah, sure.
It's about 7 minutes to 8. This is pretty involved. I would like to do this at the start of another meeting instead of at the end of another meeting when I haven't even eaten yet, and it's almost 8 o'clock. This sounds like a more than an 7 minute discussion.
What I was going to suggest is that we have a subcommittee or a couple of members work on the master plan and get back to it at a future meeting. And I'm willing to take it and run with it. However, if anybody wants to help out. So.
You might be able to do that, Fred. I'll help you out.
Okay.
Garfield, I'll be with you as a member of the select board and the planning board in joint session on Monday night to discuss this very thing.
Okay.
And
Monday night.
hopefully after that meeting, there's some direction by the two boards and process of an update or a rewrite would then be.
Sounds like I should go to
month.
Monday night's meeting, see what I can help out with.
I'll be there.
So yeah, so let's just consider this informational tonight. No proposal or anything. Say that we need to work on the master plan. We need to figure out how to work on the master plan. And a member of the planning board is more than willing to come at some future meeting and help us work through those issues. I'm gonna wrap up the meeting. And is there anyone else for trustees speak?
Yes.
Garfield.
I have to say, I'm pretty excited about it. I think we had a great meeting tonight. I think there's a lot going on, and some of the stuff I have to admit, having been ill and missing some meetings, it has informed me, and I like the way we're going. I like the direction.
Thank you. Anyone else from the trust? Okay, I see one hand, Wendy Bison. Bison?
Awesome.
Go ahead, please.
We can't hear you.
Wendy, I've enabled you to talk. We cannot hear you. It does not appear that you're muted. I'm sorry, we cannot hear you. Okay. Is there any citizens can speak on any issue at all, but please raise your hand. Seeing none, media speak. Anything else? The next meeting is scheduled for October 15th at 6:30 p.m. And without objection, this meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust is over.